Now on to week 5. I have correctly predicted the Falcons to win. Uh, Captain Kirk was amazing. It was a scripted end to the game. Boxes Camacho 45, game winning 45-yard touchdown. And Kirk does finish with 500 plus passing yards. So because Kirk Cousins had the big game, it didn't matter what happened to the Falcons. It didn't matter if they were stalling, kicking field goals, or the kicker was pretty bad. I mean, he missed 2 field goals. And they had to punt the ball and give it to Tampa Bay and use the timeout game, but none of that really mattered. This game tonight was all centered on Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins did deliver for Atlanta. So Atlanta was my first pick this week. You know, Baker's got too much of the headlines, so I think most people are predicting Tampa Bay because Baker Mayfield was just making the news and making the news in the playoffs, the demolition of the Tampa Bay, of the Philadelphia Eagles. But you can't ignore the Falcons, Kirk Cousins comeback victory um, over the Saints, and he had a comeback over the Chiefs, and that's another comeback victory for Captain Kirk. I think Kirk Cousins has made a case for him to win MVP. I think, and this is me, in my view, Kirk Cousins today is the MVP of the NFL. You have to give Kirk Cousins the MVP because in all 3 games with the 2-minute offense, he led the team back to victory. In this case, he led the team to the tying field goal to force overtime. So my MVP, I think the winner of the MVP should be Kirk Cousins because of how clutch he's been. And I know head to head is going to favor Patrick Mahomes with victories over Burrow and Lamar Jackson. But Mahomes has not had a very stellar start to the regular season, 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So as of today, I give the MVP to Kirk Cousins. We have to start talking about where this team would be if they didn't sign Kirk Cousins in free agency. I think the Steelers are going to be kicking themselves in the face that they didn't give Kirk Cousins a chance. I think the Steelers, should they lose to the Cowboys, that's a team that could have been asking themselves, where would we be if we did sign Kirk Cousins? And again, the Falcons did improve the 2-2 at home. It's Kirk, that's Camacho 22. Atlanta's 2-2 at home. NFL is rigged, making divisions interesting and exciting. So the NFC South, they're keeping that division close. It could be. And so this is going to lead to Kansas City and San Francisco. Let's get into the games. I'm going all the way to Monday because I just this is the NFC South. So let's transition to the other team in the division, the New Orleans Saints, the home Super Bowl jinx. So because the Saints are hosting the Super Bowl, they're going to be bad and they're going to miss the playoffs. NFL just has something against teams being in the playoffs as Super Bowl hosts because it's rigged because they don't want the home city playing the game because they want 2 fan bases from outside of the city to fly out to the city to help the city pay for the game, tourism money and sales tax from the hotels and restaurants. So this is how these hosts pay for the game is from out of town money. So it's not a curse. It comes down to tourism. They don't want one set of fans going to the Super Bowl. They want 2 sets of fans from outside of the geographical area to pay for the game. So the Saints are going to fall to 2-3. Mahomes is a 23-5 light path to numerology. So New Orleans fought at 2-3. What makes this game easy, in my view, is the Saints or the Chiefs play San Francisco the next week. San Francisco is Gematria 50. So with that being said, Kansas City start 5-0. And Kansas City is also Gematria of 50, I think. Kansas is 11. Oh, City is 21. So, and Chiefs is 37. Or maybe it's Chiefs that's Gematria 37. But everyone crying about the reps. Well, you can see it through the lens of Gematria, just how it's written. Just the record entering the game against the opponent. It's a very great method to predict the games. All these advertisements have ruined the Gematrinator. Just too many pop-ups. Website is ruined. I'm just waiting for the Gematrinator to load. Oh, there it is. I have to click on Gematria Calculator. Okay, Chiefs is Gematria 50. So Chiefs Gematria 50. They start 5-0, and Chiefs play San Francisco next week. So that's why they start 5-0. Entering the game against San Francisco, another rigged Monday Night Football victory for Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs have to win every game at home or close to every game at home. So the narrative will be is that nobody can win at Arrowhead. So all this rigging is going to lead up to all the scripting in the playoffs. Now, the Browns and the Washington team, Washington will start 4-1 because Baltimore is Gematria 41, and Jaden Daniels, he played at ASU. I think ASU is Gematria 41 before he went to LSU. Basically, the narrative is that the Browns are a complete mitigated disaster ever since the Deshaun Watson trade. So the Browns are going to lose again. They're a big train wreck after the Deshaun Watson trade. Look at Houston getting all these players like Will Anderson and the wide receiver they got. So they made out like bandits after the trade. The Browns are a complete joke, and they got mediocre quarterback play. So Washington's going to win again for sure. The Browns are a mitigated disaster after the trade. Washington at -3? Damn, that is very generous. You would think they'd be a 4 or 5 point favorite. I guess they like that Browns defense. Dolphins and the Patriots. The Dolphins are trash. The Dolphins run plays like Tua is still the quarterback. The Dolphins are a mitigated disaster. The new coach is playing competitive with these guys, Jared Mayo, with the New England Patriots. So with that being said, I go with the Patriots to beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a mitigated disaster. It's another loss. They were terrible on Monday night. This coach has no idea. He just wants to be bros with the players. Mike McDaniel. He's high on the weed. He looks utterly confused. He's a joke. Patriots win. I think that's pretty easy. I gotta go Packers beat the Rams. With the Rams, if they're 1-4, they're going for 1-5. Rams, Gematria 15. That's what I have to go with. You figure Packers have to at least be at 500. I don't know. Packers have to keep up with the Lions and the Vikings. That's the narrative there. So Packers going to get a win. NFC North. The Bears get a win. Now you're talking Chicago's keeping pace with a competition in the division. So yeah, Panthers are easily going to lose because, again, They got absolutely screwed in the trade by Chicago. Carolina still has no quarterback. They're a mitigated disaster. So Carolina is going to start 1-4 because Andy Dalton is number 14. So Carolina's 1-4. Chicago, we know they have a great defense, and Williams is not playing like a starting quarterback at all, let alone a quality starting quarterback. The Bears are being carried by their defense. That Bears defense is really good. Carolina's defense, they have a terrible defense. The Bears just have the defensive edge. And this game is at Chicago, so it's going to be another win for the Bears. And now I did like the Vikings to lose to be 4-1 because Rodgers is Camacho 41, but that game is tricky. Is this another Jets clusterfuck where they're completely dysfunctional? Sam Darnold was never the problem. He just needed the support. And then the Jets are left with old man Rodgers, and with Sam Darnold, the former Jet, gets the win over the Jets. So that game I think is very interesting. It's not automatic that the Vikings are going to lose the game. What I do like about the Jets is that even though they lost against Denver and Broncos is 32, and then when we look at the inverse with the Vikings starting 4-1 with the loss against Rodgers, then it's just any given week crap. I mean, the Jets did set themselves up to kick the game-winning field goal, but the kicker missed. So New York Jets going to be 3-2. They lost against Denver. They'll beat the Vikings. They'll be 3-2 after their game against the Denver Broncos. And, speaking about the Jets' next game against the Bills, Josh Allen's 33. So I think they got to make that Jets and Bills game interesting. So you figure the Jets beat the Vikings, and then people start hyping up the Jets' chances to beat the Bills the next week, because with Buffalo, they already lost 35-10 to the Ravens. So if the Jets come in and they beat the Vikings, and regardless of what happens to Buffalo this week, I think they want to make that Jets-Bills game interesting the following week. So right there, I like the Jets to get the win at England. Aaron Rodgers is the star of the show, so he'll probably have a big game over there. And the receiver, Wilson? Garrett Wilson? Yeah, Garrett Wilson. Bounce back week. I think it's perfect. When the Chiefs face off against the 49ers, the Chiefs are the only remaining undefeated team in the rematch of last year's Super Bowl. So, yep, I got to go Kansas City to win, and I got to go with this is the week where another unbeaten loses for the first time. Last week it happened to Seattle. This week it's Minnesota. And, well, I'm still going with Kansas City to beat San Francisco because Mahomes owns it. I just like Mahomes to go 5-0 against San Francisco because San Francisco's 50. And this team fucked up big time passing on Patrick Mahomes. So the passing on him, it's always going to be there as long as they can't win the Super Bowl. So I'm going to Mahomes to go 6-0 because Allegiant Stadium is 60, is it? And that's who they play the next week. They play the Raiders next week. They play the Raiders. Allegiant Stadium is 60. So I think the Chiefs will go 5-0, 6-0, enter the game against the Raiders with the 6-0 record. Allegiant Stadium is 60, and also Oakland Raiders, where they originated from. Oakland Raiders is Gamatia 60. Oh yeah, Chiefs are not done winning. They're gonna keep on winning. There's one game to bet on every week. It's the Chiefs. If they have the officials on their side, might as well bet on Kansas City. If you whining and crying and hating on Kansas City, might as well bet on Kansas City. Well, the way the Jags are playing, you can never say the Jags are a lock. I mean, it's the NFL. Look at what Joe Flacco did last year. Now, I think he's finished, yes. Jags had a tough loss. They were competitive against the Texans, but you never know. is Doug Peterson going to get fired? So I don't. Nothing's automatic with that game. I think the Bills have to. The Texans are the fake pretender team. If Jags win this week, and let's say Texans lose, the Jaguars are 2 games within the division technically, even though they've already played a game against the Texans. But this right here, the even if the Colts lose and the Texans lose, Colts are within the game. They're still in this thing. Let's see. Well, I mean, the Texans are a pretender. They got destroyed by the Vikings. You got to go Buffalo. Buffalo just has to keep up with Kansas City for the head-to-head tiebreaker. That Chiefs-Bills game is going to have implications down the line to the end of the year. So I'm going Buffalo to beat the Texans. The Texans are overrated. The Bills, they have to be good. It's going to be between Kansas City and Buffalo, but then Baltimore's going to come in and swoop all the cash. But even though the Baltimore Ravens, they do look like they're the best team in the NFL. But people just think, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes fucked up his team season when he tried to go for the tackle. He knocked out his number 1 wide receiver. I told you guys, injuries is the number 1 reason why three-peats haven't happened throughout NFL history. Tom Brady is right. The Chiefs will not win the Super Bowl. Well, I mean, they'll probably be 4 or something, right? They'll be 4. They're the favorite to win their division. The Steelers are pretenders, so I'm going to go with the Cowboys. Steelers got to regret not going for Cousins. Plus, our team lost to the Colts. They played the Denver Donkeys. Who else did they beat? Steelers. It was only the first game of Kirk Cousins. He was getting used to the new offense, so you can't use that game against Kirk Cousins. That was only week 1. What was the 3rd game? Oh, because Justin Herbert got hurt. Okay, Steelers are mediocre. Well, the Giants suck, so they love to kick field goals. They kicked a lot of field goals against the Cowboys in Washington. So on the road, Daniel Jones is a joke. Who drafts a Duke quarterback 6 overall? I guess a franchise that wants to make Eli look like God and suck without Eli and reminisce the good times with Eli Manning. So, yeah, the Seahawks going to win that game. I hope the Giants do. Don't get me wrong. But Seahawks are pretender. They're a pretender. They're going to lose against San Francisco the next week. Seahawks are going to need that game because they don't have a win against the NFC yet this year. So Seahawks can beat the Giants. It's not going to happen. I could easily see the Jets missing the playoffs, depending on what happens in November and December. Same old Jet stuff. Rob Rodgers doesn't like his head coach. So basically the Jets are just a soap opera this year. They're going to win some games, and there are weeks where there'll be the never-ending talk if Rodgers' body language on the sidelines towards the coach, towards the offensive coordinator. So the Jets are going to be a train wreck. But they'll still be in playoff contention through the month of December. The Cardinals suck. They have a midget at quarterback. This team is absolute trash. If they don't go for Arch Manning, the second Manning, the Harrison connection, Arch Manning to the Cardinals. This team knows what they do with. And Antonio Pierce can improve the 8-6 as a coach. Broncos is Camacho 86. So yeah, go Raiders. Go Raiders. Raider fashion on the road. The Raiders need that victory. Okay. Next record sequence. Plus, didn't this guy have negative passing yards? The Raiders have to be completely incompetent if they cannot take advantage of Bo Nix being a garbage passer. the NFL is rigged, so the Jets purposely were jumping false starts, and media was making a big deal, blah blah blah, just complete crap because they didn't they didn't false start the first 3 weeks. It's nothing to do with understanding the cadence. It was just part of the scripting to rig the game for the Broncos. How they wanted to rig the drive was purposely push your own team 5 yards back instead of dropping the ball or whatever, risking a sack or anything like that. It's the end of Matthew Stafford. This big money quarterback, he needs to get a win this week, October 6th. Jordan Love gets the win at LA. For your 13-time NFL championship winners, LA's 13 is first win back in action. The Packers have 13 NFL championships, and LA's gematria of 13. Just like how the winningest team in the NFL with the most championships, they were the first team, the first 7 seed to win was the Green Bay Packers and the 13 championship. So this is a good way of looking at the Packers and the Rams game. The Rams are absolute trash. Didn't you see them against Arizona? This team is trash. They lost against the Bears. They lost against that anemic offense. The Packers are going to win that football game. What's 32 about? Funny how Antonio Pierce is gematria of Raiders. Pierce is also gematria of Colorado. So what if the Raiders are above 500 for the first time with full-time head coach Antonio Pierce with the win at Colorado? That's an interesting way of looking at that. What's Vegas, Nevada? Dallas is reverse of 41. They're technically going for 4-1. Steelers is gematria 31. This was my logic I was using when I first picked the Colts. I have no idea why I switched from Colts to Steelers. I was looking too much in the Dallas 41 in reverse. Should have stuck with Steelers 31. It did line up perfectly. Stack's record against the AFC. That's like the last game. We have to look for some good numbers. It's the Sunday night football game. Well, hey, I mean, Steelers face off against Las Vegas Raiders. Next, Las Vegas Raiders is 76, and Dak Prescott can get a 76 win in the regular season. Mike McCarthy's born at Pittsburgh. What does this game mean for Mike McCarthy? That's a great question. But yeah, very mediocre football team. Are they? How many penalties are they going to commit? Mike McCarthy's 45th win as coach, won Super Bowl 45 over the Steelers. I got to give this guy a W this week, but 27 regular season losses as Cowboys coach and 3 losses in the playoffs. Going for loss number 31 against the Steelers. Steelers 31. I mean, yeah, that's saying that game is tricky because Cowboys they could fall to 2-3, and then Lions is 24. They could be going for 2-4, losing against Detroit Lions. So yeah, that game's gonna be interesting. It will be. Or Mike McCarthy could win this week. Mike McCarthy would enter at 45 wins as Cowboys coach in the regular season against Jared Goff. Because after last year, Cowboys have no chance of beating the Lions after last year. Jared Goff is 45. Uh, let's see. Campbell's come out to 28. So Mike McCarthy, if he beats Pittsburgh, lost number 28 in the regular season as Cowboys coach, he's going to come against Campbell. Campbell 28. I got to go Cowboys just because they don't have a quarterback. And they were garbage against the Colts, right? If Colts are trash against the Jags, you should feel safer about Dallas. The Cowboys need this game to keep pace with the Commanders. So looking at it from that standpoint, Dan Quinn, former Cowboy defensive coordinator. So I think that you know what, Cowboys gonna be 3-0 on the road. Cowboys is 30. There'll be a game outside of first. Again, the NFL is weird. They like to keep certain divisions close, and I think this one will be close for at least another week. The Ravens will beat Washington, though. They're going to beat Washington. This kid, Jaden Daniels, goes up against mediocre teams, but Baltimore will be the first real test, see what they do defensively. You're not going to get a prevent garbage Cardinals defense. You're not going to get a garbage Bengals defense. The Browns are just a clown show. But this is the real first test. How's he going to do? So, yeah. It's just paper over cracks if they beat the Steelers because they're losing against the Lions. They're losing against the 49ers. They have to face off against the Eagles. Before the Eagles, they have to go to Atlanta to face off against Captain Kirk. So this team is cooked. Cowboys will be cooked. Absolutely. How many points are the 49ers going to win by? 14, 20, 25, 30, 30, 40, 50, 60? The 49ers are locked to win. They're going to be 3-2. Oh, they play the Seahawks after that. Doesn't Smith have Gematria 42 or Gino? Smith is 24. Okay. Well, again, I know I sound like a broken record. Lions and Vikings are tied, and the Packers and the Bears are both a game out. Seahawks win, the 49ers win, the Cardinals and Rams are the trash, and the Seahawks and the 49ers face off. They are within a game of each other. And the Cowboys win, thus, therefore, they're a game outside of first. I correctly used this logic to pick the Falcons, and now the Saints are half game outside of first place before Monday Night Football. And so the Panthers are a game and a half outside of first after tonight, even though the Panthers are nothing, but still a game and a half outside of first. If the Bills are supposed to beat the Texans and the Jets win, then the Jets keep up. One of these two teams, the Broncos and the Raiders, they'll be a game and a half outside of first place before Monday Night Football. If the Steelers lose and the Ravens win, then the Bengals have won the bye week. Or the Bengals and the Ravens. Ravens go win that one. Ravens gonna beat the Bengals. Well, have you seen the Bengals defense? The Ravens will not lose against that team. Texans win. They lose. Okay, they lose. Okay. If Jags win, can we turn it around? Can we turn it around? So but the Bills are going to beat the Jets. This is their revenge for last year's Monday Night Football game. I'm going to go with the Bills to beat the Jets. People have to start talking about Josh Allen being MVP, so I got to go with them over Aaron Rodgers. Hey, you look at the Jets' schedule beyond the Vikings and the Bills. The Steelers, which are still a hard team because they always finish around 500 with Mike Tomlin. They get the Patriots. I mean, divisional game, but Patriots are not very good. Texans, then they get the Cardinals, they get the Colts, the overrated Seahawks, the garbage Dolphins. So, and they get the Jaguars, and they haven't had a great record. Then they get the Rams. So it's just going to be an easy schedule for the Jets, assuming Aaron Rodgers don't get hurt. So the one thing that's going to keep the Jets in it, I think, is a relatively very easy schedule. We'll see how the scripts are going to be this week. It kind of got a little preview of the scripts for next week. Yeah, Rams will be 1-5 because Rams Camacho 15. They need a quarterback, so they have to purposely start losing games. That was a wild fourth quarter today. Guy fumbled the ball there at the end. They were hurrying for their lives to get that spike with like 1 second left. If they were just a little bit slower, they would have spiked it at 0 seconds. There is something terribly wrong if the Lions lose against the Cowboys. Against this Cowboys team? Hopefully the refs will favor the Lions in that game. And they have to face off against Jaden Daniels twice. They have to face off against Baker. They have to face off against Joe Burrow. They have to face off against C.J. Stroud. They have to face off against Captain Kirk. Man, it's going to be hell for the Dallas Cowboys the rest of the way. I think everyone agrees Seahawks are frauds and they fought you and they haven't beaten anybody. This team's a joke. This whole division's a joke. These guys get 6 easy games. That pile of trash in the desert, the garbage lamb chops. And these joke pretending Seahawks, they're a joke. They've always floundered down the stretch with Pete Carroll. Outside of these last years where they made the divisional round, this team is a joke. And again, at the beginning of the video, I said my MVP of the NFL is Kirk Cousins. I got to go with the guy who's been the best at the two. He's needed the most wins when facing 2-minute offense. Kirk Cousins is the MVP. I did pick the Falcons to win the division, so 3-2. There we go. Who's the Falcons' last game against? The Panthers on January the 5th. Kirk Cousins showdown against the Vikings, December the 8th. That's going to be an interesting game. Does Baker play the Clowns? No, he doesn't play the Clowns this year. I wish he did. I wish he did. Well, last wild card spot will come down to the Jets or the Chargers or the Bengals. Probably. Or the Steelers. Hey, Eagles are just overrated. I told you guys they're overrated. I was called a hater. But this team has a terrible coach. They overrated. Jalen Hurts is a turnover machine. This team is overrated. They have a child as a coach. Nick Sirianni, you see his little high school antics. He's a joke. He's not professional. He's a joke. The players can't take him seriously. The Steelers have to get the Ravens, the Chiefs, and Joe Burrow to finish the season. Including the first of the last four is against the Eagles. So that could be a game the Eagles need to win. Sirianni on the hot seat, McCarthy on the hot seat. Yep. Everything's trending down in the NFC East. Everything is trending up in the NFC North. These guys are going to make the playoffs over the Cowboys. Lions going to win the division. You telling me Dallas going to finish ahead of the Vikings? You know the Packers are going to be Green Bay. You're faced with lots of competition in the NFC South. Dallas Cowboys are cooked with the emergence of the Washington football team. The Jets are lucky they have an easy schedule. Who knows if the Cardinals beat the Jets? Who knows? But this team is absolute. They are a train wreck. Is the media making it out to be a train wreck? Or does Aaron Rodgers really not like Robert Saleh? The Las Vegas Raiders is 61. What if the Chiefs' first loss is against the Bucs? I might just let him bake. After all this crap Antonio Pierce said about taking over, the Chiefs are motivated. Patrick Mahomes not too happy with Antonio Pierce comments. He should have kept it in-house. Chiefs better win that game if Antonio Pierce starts talking shit about how he has the template to beat the Chiefs. Please. The Chiefs gifted that game on Christmas. Please. That was a scripted game. But they're losing. Especially because at Buffalo, the Bills are going to win that game. The Bills are going to beat them in the regular season. They're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills will 100% win against Kansas City. Or at least I think it's 100%. Well, I'm not too concerned about breaking that game by the numbers. Well, I guess I can. Road record. True. Kansas City Chiefs. Yep, the Chiefs are going to be 3-0 away. Shanahan is 30. It's been 30 years since the 49ers last won the Super Bowl. Kansas City is going to whip the 49ers behind. We're having a huge week this week. A huge, gigantic week. Yep. Nothing automatic with the Vikings losing, although that's just how I see it. Last remaining unbeaten team against San Francisco. That's kind of how I see it. Well, it makes them easy bubbling on the embarrassments of the Dallas Cowboys over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be easy. They get close divisions using this logic. The Washington wins, it should be easy to go at Dallas. If the Colts look like trash against Jacksonville, it should be easy using conventional wisdom to go with Dallas. Never hate the Cowboys using that conventional wisdom with these two games I mentioned. It doesn't matter if the Cowboys win this week. Their season will be over in the next couple of weeks after that. Let them think they'll win the Super Bowl this week. They coming back. But then reality will kick in. America's darlings, the Detroit Lions. And we all know what San Francisco can do to Dallas. So, yep, their season is over. And the Jets are going to be hyped up before they face off against Buffalo. And again, the Texans are massively overrated. Now they have the prima donna. They have Stephon Diggs. Let him deal with him. He's gonna whine and cry because I didn't get the ball on this drive. I didn't get the ball. It's all doing to me. Does a second-year receiver really should be dealing with this kind of crap with the prima donna? This is what can happen to Houston this week. Look out for that too. The Stephon Diggs create another ruckus narrative going on there. They're already talking how the Bills have freedom. This little thing weighing down their shoulders, it got taken up. They'll have to deal with, I have to give this guy the ball. The inverse can certainly affect them. When is Stephon Diggs gonna you have a letdown? When he's not getting the ball, it's gonna affect the Texans. So yeah, look out for that too. Anyway, this is all I have to say about the games coming up this week. Interesting narratives. What y'all think about each narrative with each game? This is what I say with the divisional records. It makes sense. Does Roger Goodell agree? I guess we have to find out.